Danke für die Korrektur. Hier ist die überarbeitete Version mit dem richtigen Titel. Welcome to a new video on my channel. Today, I present to you the story of the curse of bloodlust. I hope you enjoy it. If you do, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And of course, feel free to spread the word and recommend my channel. This special story follows a young woman as she uncovers the hidden secrets of magic and steps into a world steeped in mythology. She always believed she was cursed, marked by something unnatural. But the truth is far more extraordinary. Since the moment of her birth, she has carried a power unlike any other, a force greater than anything the world has ever known, one that sets her apart in ways she never imagined. As she begins to grasp the depths of her abilities, she faces an even greater struggle. Whom can she trust? If the world were to discover what she is, she would become a target, pursued, feared, or even worse. At its heart, this story asks, how will Rune come to terms with her fate? How will she navigate the rising storm of chaos and uncertainty in this new era? And most importantly, how will the world itself change in the wake of magic's resurgence? Stay tuned as we dive deep into the curse of bloodlust. The morning sun filtered through the curtains of a high-end hotel room, casting golden beams over the bed. A young woman stirred beneath the sheets, her snow-white hair splayed across the pillow, contrasting sharply with her blood-red eyes. For a moment, Rune felt lost, disoriented. She blinked sluggishly, her body tensing as unfamiliar surroundings registered in her mind. Scars covered her well-toned physique, marks of survival, each one a testament to battles fought and hardships endured. She had always viewed them as trophies rather than imperfections, reminders that she had conquered more than most. Rune had spent much of her childhood pretending to be something she wasn't, masking the darker urges that simmered beneath her carefully crafted facade. For years, she wrestled with a singular, unsettling question. Am I a madwoman among saints or a saint among madmen? Suppressing her fascination with blood had never been easy. It was an obsession, an unexplainable attraction, something that called to her in a way that no one else could ever understand. The deep crimson hue of fresh wounds had always mesmerized her, stirred something primal within her. But it wasn't until her first real fight that she truly realized she was different. That first drop of blood, the way it painted her skin, had been intoxicating. The rush, the exhilaration, the sheer euphoria of watching crimson spill, it had been irresistible. And yet, there was always the inconvenient reality of the legal system. Rune wasn't stupid. She knew she couldn't just indulge whenever she pleased. If she wanted to avoid a lifetime behind bars, she needed an outlet, a way to satisfy the hunger without getting caught. But something had changed. She felt it deep inside before she could even fully comprehend what was wrong. The air was thick with the scent of ash, burnt and heavy. And beneath that, something sharper. Metallic, but not quite blood. Blood had a scent she knew intimately, a scent she could pick out anywhere. This was different. Then there was the most alarming revelation of all. The pain was gone. The ever-present tightness in her chest, the slow decay of her body from leukemia and ovarian cancer, both had vanished. Rune had spent years coming to terms with her impending death, yet here she was, whole, unscarred by disease, her breath caught in her throat. Why am I healed? I didn't deserve this. Dying had been an escape, a certainty, and now it had been stolen from her. I'm a psychopath, a danger to everyone around me. I've caused so much suffering, and I don't even care. So why? Memories surfaced, unbidden, flashes of near-fatal fights, moments where she'd nearly crossed the line, where she'd almost killed someone simply because the color had been too beautiful to resist. I'm the last person who should have been given a second chance. So why? Why would he do this? A flicker of something foreign pulsed at the back of her mind, a whisper of a memory she didn't recall forming. Someone had done this to her. Wait, why does it feel like someone sacrificed themselves for me? Rune sat up, her sharp gaze sweeping across the room. The instant she moved, a cascade of white strands fell over her shoulders, her hair pure as untouched snow. What the hell? She reached for the locks, running them between her fingers, trying to make sense of the transformation. Her memories were fractured, blurred by alcohol and something else. She recalled a conversation, faint, distant, like an old recording played underwater. I don't want to live anymore. But I think you're more than just your bloodlust, a voice had told her. I'm not a good person. If you're looking to give someone power, find someone who won't enjoy beating people into bloody piles. Rune had scoffed in response, her words slurred with drink. Then, nothing. A blank reel. What the hell happened in the last 2 days, and why are my hair snow white? Her sharp eyes flicked to the nightstand, landing on an envelope. Black, gold trim. Next to it sat a sleek, black metal suitcase, reflecting the dim light with an eerie, polished gleam. Resting neatly atop the case was an outfit, a crisp, well-tailored black suit. Rune's brow furrowed. She looked down at herself. She was naked. What the hell? Did I walk through this place stark naked? She turned toward the open window, heart pounding, then reached for the letter with slow, deliberate movements. The handwriting was elegant, precise. I know this is all very strange for you, but I have given you my magic. I believe it will help you. My ability is called mental immunity. It may sound trivial, but that's not the point. Know that this was not a spontaneous decision. I have studied your past and reached a conclusion. You must have possessed magic since birth. It is rare for a human, but in your case, it seems deeply tied to blood. Otherwise, your obsession wouldn't be so intense. That is why I chose not to let my long life end in meaningless solitude. Instead, I pass my magic to you. I have provided everything you will need for a new life, and I ask only one thing in return. Do not throw it away. I understand that people like you struggle to comprehend those like me, but after centuries of existence, even I have grown tired. Eventually, you will too. I have made my peace with this world, and whether I gave you my power or not, I would have embraced death all the same. So take this as my blessing, my gift to you, the chance to no longer be ruled by your magic, but to master it. Good luck, Dracula. P.S. Stop believing every myth humans create. Just because people think something is true doesn't make it so. Dwarves don't live underground all the time. Elves don't just sit around in forests. And vampires? We aren't weak to sunlight. Also, the whole drinking people dry thing? Biologically impossible. What does this mean? Rune wondered, her mind clouded with confusion. Her gaze drifted toward the metallic suitcase. As she attempted to rise from the bed, her legs suddenly gave out beneath her. A wave of weakness washed over her, as if all the strength in her body had been drained away. The impact of her fall sent a sharp jolt of pain through her, even though there were no visible injuries. What is this? Why do I feel so weak? Rune questioned, her breathing uneven. Before she could make sense of it, a sharp clicking sound echoed through the room. The suitcase unlocked on its own, its lid swinging open with an eerie slowness. Clothes tumbled onto the floor, but Rune barely noticed them. A scent, thick, intoxicating, irresistible, rose into the air, wrapping around her senses like a vice. Her mind shut down. Instinct took over. Before she could comprehend what was happening, Rune lunged forward, hands reaching greedily for the crimson liquid inside the case. It was ice cold, yet as it slid down her throat, it ignited a fire within her. Something primal, overwhelming, euphoric. It was unlike anything she had ever experienced. No pleasure, no high, no indulgence had ever compared. Her vision blurred as she lost herself in the act, draining one packet, then another. By the time she became aware of herself again, she was already halfway through the third. Judging by their volume, each pack must have held around a liter. Even though Rune had spent her life accustomed to the sight of blood, drinking it was something entirely different. The moment the thick metallic taste coated her tongue, something inside her clicked into place, like a long missing puzzle piece, finally slotting where it belonged. It was as if she had unknowingly lived her entire life in deprivation, walking in a haze of ignorance. And now she understood. Warmth spread through her veins, seeping into her muscles, her bones. She felt herself changing, growing stronger. It was intoxicating, the sensation of power unfurling within her. But that was not all. Memories flooded her mind, fragmented images and thoughts that did not belong to her. The recollections of a doctor who had donated blood. The fleeting decision of a man who had impulsively agreed to give a part of himself. What? I can feel their thoughts, their memories. Rune's lips parted in fascination. This feels right. So right. For the first time in her life, the hollow emptiness within her began to fill. Could this be the magic he spoke of? Rune wondered, thoughts spinning wildly. Was it this power that made me drawn to blood all this time? But then, why have I never felt the need to drink it before? She had always believed it was the sight of blood that called to her. But no, her instincts had been telling her something different all along. She had simply misinterpreted them. Her entire life had been a misunderstanding. And yet, the question remained, why was she born like this? Why was magic in humans supposedly rare? Rather than finding answers, more mysteries unfolded before her. A laugh bubbled up in her throat, one of exhilaration, of newfound clarity. Magic is neither dangerous nor safe. It is neither good nor evil. It is shaped by the will of its wielder. Never forget that. A voice, deep, commanding, whispered through her mind. Rune froze. Wait, Dracula? The Dracula? The thought was absurd. It wasn't as if she strictly disbelieved in myths or the supernatural, but she had never devoted much thought to them either. And yet, after everything she had just experienced, the idea of Dracula's existence didn't seem so far-fetched anymore. Her body moved on its own. She reached for yet another packet, the hunger still gnawing at her insides. The moment the liquid touched her tongue, she felt as though she hadn't eaten in days. It was sweet, rich, utterly divine. It was only after finishing yet another litter that her thoughts finally sharpened, regaining their usual coherence. And with clarity came realization. The room was a mess. Blood splattered across the floor, staining her skin. And worst of all, she was stark naked, sitting before an open suitcase, drenched in red. Horror crawled up her spine. If someone were to walk in right now? Quickly, Rune shut the suitcase and turned toward the bathroom. The shower beckoned, promising to wash away the evidence of her frenzy. She grabbed the clothes from the floor and stepped inside, letting the warm water cascade over her body. Yet something felt different. She could feel the temperature, but only in a distant way, like recalling a memory rather than experiencing it firsthand. Even the cold air seeping through the open window failed to stir a shiver. Am I resistant to heat and cold now? Rune mused, watching as crimson streaks swirled down the drain. The way the water flowed over her skin still felt mesmerizing, just as it always had. But this time, anticipation thrummed beneath her ribs. As Rune stands beneath the cascading water of the shower, feeling its warmth glide over her skin, she finds herself captivated. The mere fact that something exists beyond her understanding is exhilarating. Magic, absurd as it may sound, feels undeniably real. What could this mean? What exactly is my magic capable of? She wonders, anticipation surging through her as she tenses her muscles. Nothing she's experiencing can be explained by logic alone. The sensation of the blood she consumed still lingers, like a missing puzzle piece slotting into place, like a truth she had always been searching for without realizing it. And then, something clicks. Deep inside her, a mechanism long dormant finally awakens. Rune staggers, not from weakness, but from sheer unfamiliarity with this newfound sensation. A cool wave washes over her, drowning out the chaotic flood of sensory input. Her mind sharpens, reducing the overwhelming tide of information to only what is necessary. Where before she could smell everything within a 100-meter radius, now she focuses only on what she seeks. What the hell is this? She thinks, a creeping unease settling in. Whatever this is, it's not hers. It belongs to someone else. But how? She turns off the shower and steps out. Water drips from her skin, pooling at her feet, but she hardly notices. Something has changed. No, everything has changed. As she moves toward the mirror, she catches her reflection and freezes. She looks taller. Her curves are fuller, more defined. Her skin, once marred by scars, is now unblemished. The largest scar, the one beneath her left breast, is faintly pink before it vanishes before her very eyes. Self-regeneration? Seriously? Rune thinks, amused by the revelation. Then her gaze lowers. Her muscles are sharper, leaner, stronger. She leans in, and the sink cracks beneath her grip. Eyes widening, she glances down. Her fingers have torn a chunk of the ceramic basin clean off. Superhuman strength, enhanced senses, and regeneration? That's a bit much. And there's no way this is the result of technology. It has to be magic. The power coursing through her is intoxicating, thrilling, but also inconvenient. She turns, eyeing the clothes left for her on the nearby shelf. Dressing without destroying them is going to be a challenge. Taking a deep breath, she reaches for the underwear first. The moment she pulls the fabric up, it tears apart in her hands. She sighs, setting the ruined garment aside. The bra doesn't fare any better. Her new proportions make it useless. But the suit, the sleek black suit with gold embellishments, surprisingly holds. The material stretches effortlessly over her form, soft as silk against her skin, yet impossibly sturdy. It even has a breast pocket, a strange but oddly charming detail. What is this made of? How can it feel like fabric when I just shattered a damn sink without even trying? Sliding her feet into the matching shoes, Rune finds them just as unnaturally resilient as the suit. She moves experimentally, testing their fit. They're perfect, comfortable, flexible, yet durable in a way that defies logic. Only one thing feels off: the absence of underwear beneath the suit. The sensation of the fabric against her most sensitive areas is a strange mix of pleasant and uncomfortable, both thrilling and unfamiliar. I suppose I'll have to get used to this. Rune approaches the suitcase, the only remaining object in the room she has yet to fully examine. She carefully inspects it from all angles before finally opening it. Inside, she finds the same crest emblazoned on the inner lining as on the exterior. However, what she had previously overlooked now catches her eye: a small compartment tucked inside the chilled suitcase. Within it, she finds a letter. Greetings, young vampires. It is only natural that you must be feeling a great deal of confusion right now, given that your very existence has been rewritten. Allow me to clarify what has happened to you. There are precisely two ways for a humanoid being to be transformed into a vampire. I emphasize humanoid because any creature sufficiently similar to a vampire can, in theory, be turned as well. The first method is the most well known: drinking a vampire's blood. However, this process is not as simple as folklore would have you believe. Both the donor and the recipient must willingly consent to the exchange. If a vampire forcibly gives their blood to another, it will act as a lethal toxin, killing the recipient unless they possess extraordinary resistance. On the other hand, if a person steals a vampire's blood and consumes it, it remains nothing more than ordinary blood, completely useless. Nothing will happen. The transformation requires intent and mutual agreement. The second method is far more drastic and irreversible. A vampire can fully transfer their blood to a human, a process that does more than merely turn them. It bestows upon them all of the vampire's magical abilities and supernatural strength. However, this method comes at a grave cost. The original vampire will perish, reduced to nothing but ash. A curious fact, perhaps a silver lining, is that this death is entirely painless. The transformation occurs first, and only then does the vampire's body crumble away. The newly turned vampire will inherit all the magical properties and capabilities of their predecessor. However, because every living being in our world possesses some degree of inherent magical energy, the new vampire's strength will be a fusion of both their own potential and that of the one who turned them. As a result, vampires created in this manner tend to be exceptionally powerful. This transformation can only be performed by a pure vampire. Any lesser vampire attempting this act would die before the process could be completed. Now, whoever you are, you have undergone this change. Your body is no longer the same as it once was. Below is a list of some of the immediate changes you will experience. 1. Enhanced regeneration. Wounds will heal at an accelerated rate. 2. Increased stamina. You will find yourself capable of exerting yourself far beyond human limits. 3. Heightened resilience and strength. Your body will become tougher, harder to break, and far more powerful. 4. Extended lifespan. This one is a particularly interesting phenomenon. The exact duration of a vampire's life depends on their innate strength. No upper limit has ever been discovered, but at the very least, even the weakest among us will live for a minimum of 1,000 years. That means from the moment you read this letter, you are guaranteed at least a millennium more of existence. Another peculiar trait of vampires is an almost compulsive tendency to hoard valuable objects, perhaps a psychological adaptation to prepare for the eternity ahead. On that note, did you know that a staggering 84% of museum thefts are committed by vampires? They're simply reclaiming their lost belongings from past centuries. Amusing, isn't it? It seems that archaeologists have a habit of unearthing artifacts that we once owned. Convenient for us, really. Now, let's address some common misconceptions. Many of the weaknesses attributed to vampires in myths, legends, and pop culture are utter nonsense. Deliberate misinformation spread to keep humans from learning the truth. Here is a list of completely fictional weaknesses that have zero basis in reality. Sunlight. No, it won't make you burst into flames. At worst, it's just annoyingly bright. Silver. Absolutely meaningless to us. It's just another metal. Holy symbols. Who seriously believes that a mere object could harm us? Churches hold no special properties whatsoever. They are buildings, nothing more. That being said, there is one very real way to kill a vampire: piercing the heart. However, the idea that this must be done with a wooden stake? Ridiculous. Any object capable of destroying the heart will suffice. Should you desire further information, you may access the Paranormal Network. Yes, of course, we use modern technology. Ours is simply enhanced with runes for greater efficiency. To enter the network, simply search for paranormal online. Then, once you understand how to control your magic, direct it into your chosen device, and the network will open to you. On a final note, let's discuss magic. Magic is fundamentally not harmful to its wielder. It is an extension of oneself, akin to a limb or a sensory organ. It is impossible for a person's own magic to harm them unless they act with extreme recklessness. For example, a fire mage will never burn themselves with their own flames, and a water mage cannot drown from their own abilities. This principle extends to all forms of magic. Most beings possess only one type of magic. However, on rare occasions, an individual may be born with the ability to wield multiple magic types simultaneously. But that is a matter for another time. For now, welcome to your new life. Enjoy it. These words were written in the letter tucked inside the suitcase. It takes Rune a few moments to process this information. But then, a wide smile spreads across her lips. Just as she had expected, if the paranormal truly existed, it would be exactly like this. The mere thought of vampires and mythical creatures casually strolling around using smartphones and modern devices is simply amusing. Yet a question lingers in her mind. Why is there no mention of how magic is actually used? Of course, one possibility is that magic is simply instinctual, something that manifests on its own. Another explanation could be that it's too complicated to be summarized in a brief letter. However, Rune gets the impression that the first option is more likely because she can feel it. Something deep inside her, like an unknown energy, an extension of herself that she had never known how to use. It is as if a part of her had been asleep for a long time, only now beginning to awaken, slow and groggy, like a limb that has been numb for ages. And yet, instinct tells her one thing: her magic is powerful. It has something to do with copying the magical essence of others. She sits there, staring at the letter. The window remains wide open, allowing the crisp morning air to fill the room. Sunlight spills in, and she feels a faint tingling sensation on her skin. Absent-mindedly, without even realizing what she's doing, her fingers move to the buttons of her suit, undoing a few too many. Any observer would assume that, at any moment, her breasts might spill out. Yet, almost magically, they remain in place. Time passes, and that part of her, the part she had long considered a curse, stirs fully awake. To her surprise, she realizes just how unnaturally powerful her magic is. As far as she can tell, there seems to be no limit to the types of magic she can copy. But therein lies the real problem. Her ability is passive, constantly active. That means that as long as she exists as a vampire, she will endlessly absorb magical traits from everything around her. Wait, doesn't that mean I've already copied magic? If every living being possesses magic? Rune murmurs to herself, slightly disturbed. The moment she has that thought, she senses something. Tiny, weak points of light flickering deep within her inner world. Then, a strange discomfort spreads through her chest, like the early symptoms of lung cancer. "What is this?" she whispers, and in the next instant, her perception shifts. She is no longer in her room. Instead, she sees a vast black sky, void of stars, except for one, a single, brilliant, blood-red star shining in the darkness. Somehow, she knows instinctively, this is her magic, the power she was born with. It has no name, no definition, and yet it is undeniably hers. Beside it, a cloud of small golden sparks floats gently. The moment she sees it, she understands. These sparks represent the ability she unknowingly inherited from the vampire who turned her, most likely Count Dracula himself. Rune blinks in confusion, shifting her gaze away from the golden cloud and back to her own star. And that is when she sees it, the source of her pain. And she understands. A soft, almost amused laugh escapes her lips as realization sets in. She is a singularity, a walking contradiction. She sees the irony, the cruel joke of her existence. She is still going to die. The magic she has copied may be weak, but the different magical energies are colliding, fighting for dominance within her. They are mixing, twisting together in chaos. Great. So I'm going to die not from bloodlust, but from magical overexposure, Rune thinks sarcastically. The realization weighs on her. It is unnatural to possess more than one type of magic, and the consequences of doing so are suffocating. Her ability, despite being so overwhelmingly powerful, comes at an equally terrifying cost, an eventual death by magical overload. But just as Rune begins to lose hope, a thought flickers in her mind. It would make sense to assume that too many magical factors inside her would eventually kill her. But magic itself isn't meant to harm its wielder. Her own magic wouldn't actively destroy her unless there was another way, a loophole. And then, like a key clicking into place, everything makes sense. Her eyes widen as if she's seeing the world clearly for the first time. If she doesn't want the abilities she's copied, if she can't get rid of them, then all she has to do is turn them off. She tries it. It's easy. So easy it almost feels ridiculous. Like flipping a light switch, the magic inside her responds instantly. The chaotic storm within settles, and for the first time since her transformation, she feels relief. Hell yeah, I'm so overpowered! Rune shouts as she snaps back to reality, laughing. The realization that she wouldn't die from an uncontrollable surge of magic felt liberating. A small smile crept onto Rune's lips. However, she quickly recognized a new problem. Her appearance was far too distinctive, making her an easy target. She rummaged through the nightstand and found a pair of scissors. Without hesitation, she grabbed a handful of her long, white hair and cut it off. The resulting hairstyle was chaotic and uneven, but that didn't matter. What mattered was blending in. As Rune examined her disheveled reflection, she nodded in satisfaction. It would serve its purpose. She reached for a hat from the pile of belongings that supposedly belonged to her. Oddly, she had no recollection of purchasing it, but it didn't matter now. Pulling the hat over her head, she took a deep breath and stepped out of the hotel room. The moment she entered the hallway, the sharp scent of body fluids and blood filled her nostrils. Rune blinked, suppressing the instinct to react. The stench of death and decay clung to the air, but she forced herself to ignore it. The situation I'm in is far from normal. First, I need to gather information, no matter what. Only then can I make the right decisions. With that thought in mind, she walked through the corridors of the hotel, scanning her surroundings. Then she smelled it, an unusual scent, one that stood out even among the overwhelming mixture of odors. It was the fragrance of damp grass and flowers, intertwined with something distinctly unnatural. Rune's sharp eyes locked onto the source, a woman with long black hair and pointed ears, conversing with the receptionist at the front desk. Even a human should have noticed something off about the woman. Yet, the receptionist's forced neutrality gave away nothing, except to Rune. She could smell the fear radiating from her. Rune turned her attention to a passing hotel employee, a random woman who appeared human. She decided to test something. "Excuse me, miss, but I think I have a gap in my memory. What exactly happened in the last 2 days?" Rune asked. The woman stiffened. Her heart rate skyrocketed and sweat formed on her brow. The scent of her fear was no longer subtle, it was pure panic. However, she forced herself to remain composed. Slowly, she looked up at Rune, who towered over her at nearly 2 meters tall, and swallowed hard. Miss, we have VIP rooms for you. Why are you using the regular exit?" "If you'd like to leave, we can arrange for a private driver," she said hesitantly. Rune narrowed her eyes. That's not what I asked. I want to know what happened yesterday and the day before, she repeated. The woman's fear intensified. I I don't know how you got here, but I do know that Lord Dracula brought you in while you were asleep, she answered cautiously. Since he's not with you and, well, since you are now one of the children of the night, I assume that means you are his successor. Rune's gaze flicked to the woman's name tag. Anna. She exhaled slowly, forcing herself to relax. She had no desire to frighten the poor girl any further. Anna, could you clarify? What do you mean by successor? And where the hell am I? Anna hesitated before answering. You're at the Luminor Hotel, one of the 10 most luxurious and expensive hotels in all of New York City. We prioritize the privacy of our guests, all of whom are either initiated or, she gulped, mythological beings themselves. Rune took a moment to process the information. It made sense. She was surrounded by the scent of things that shouldn't exist in a normal world. Meanwhile, Anna tried to maintain her composure, but it wasn't easy. A fully turned vampire stood before her, or perhaps even a true vampire. And that meant that even the weakest of Rune's kind could snap Anna's head off with the same ease as crushing an overripe watermelon. Because of this, strict rules were enforced among hotel employees. Under no circumstances were they to anger a mythological being. It wasn't just about survival. The pay here was significantly higher than any normal job, and on top of that, they didn't have to pay taxes to the human government. Another unspoken rule made things somewhat easier. Mythological beings, for the most part, had little to no interest in humans when it came to certain urges. Many of them lacked such desires entirely, while others were simply too beautiful and preferred to stay among their own kind. That was why Anna was genuinely startled when Rune suddenly reached out and pulled her aside into a quieter corner. What do you mean by initiated? Rune asked, her expression unreadable. People who are aware of the mythological world, like myself and the rest of the hotel staff, Anna explained. Rune exhaled, trying to keep her emotions in check. This is a lot. All right, what kinds of mythological creatures exist? Anna shifted awkwardly. If you'd like, I can get someone who can answer your questions in more detail. I still have tasks to complete. Rune considered the offer for a moment, then shook her head. Not yet. First, I want to ask you everything I need to know. After that, you can call someone else if necessary. And with that, the interrogation began. And that's it for today's video. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you liked Rune's story, I'd love for you to check out the next parts as well. Feel free to leave a comment letting me know what you think about the story. As for the images in this video, they might not have been a perfect match because I didn't have the time or the patience to generate every single one exactly the way I wanted. It's a lot of work. But if you really enjoy the visuals and want to see more refined background images, I can definitely put some extra effort into making them better in future videos. In the next episode, we'll dive into Rune's journey as the heir to the vampire lord Count Dracula, and how the world around her begins to change. The question is, how will she handle it? If you click on the left side of the screen, you'll get to my latest upload. On the right, you'll find the full playlist for this series, and at the top center, you can visit my channel to check out all my videos. I really appreciate you watching. If you had fun, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the channel with your friends. That's all for now. See you next time.